I'm glad I saw the thing that said I was muted. All right. Trying to get this. My internet keeps sending me a message that's unstable, but it won't take long today. I know that is the rain is coming down back and forth. So hopefully we get through all of this with no drops. And if you do drop, just drop back on. We're gonna do about an hour today. We already know what our final assignment is. Excited about. I'm excited about that. Um, and then what the future looks like for our 30 days of stable prep. Super excited about that. I was talking to a friend in Georgia, and she was saying you should definitely record it. I was like, I'm gonna think about it. Okay, but any live recordings, I haven't thought about it. I haven't did a live recording in maybe a year. And that was, I think, a stable prep, maybe on our YouTube. It's a while ago. But let's look at nail extensions and resin systems. Shorter chapter, still powerful chapter. You will have to do one nail extension at State Board. Okay, the nails are already you already have the nail extended on the finger when you go. So it's just a simple application of acrylic. And of course, I make sure you know that protocol before you go for the practical. Okay. So as we look at our nail extension, let's look at our, we're going to pick this back up on Monday. Let's look at our objectives though. We got 9 objectives. Explain what cosmetologists should learn about nail extensions and resin systems. Explain how to prepare natural nails for a nail enhancement service. Describe different nail tip types. List the advantages of using nail forms. Name the 8 most commonly requested nail extension shapes. That's going to be important. We'll see a reference to that on your exam. Identify the qualities of a properly structured nail enhancement. Define nail resin and nail resin system. I'm going to tell you now, resin is going to represent like an adhesive, so like a glue. Describe how nail wraps strengthen nails, and then outline the advantages of applying a dip system. All right. And many individuals believe that when we talk nails, we're literally talking visuals. We are, but there is a theory breakdown associated with it. So you must still understand the theory component that relates to it. Let's continue on to our first video. And then we'll move into our ebook.
Mary's a beauty professional and is loving what she's doing, but the finances have been a little flat. She's been offering basic manicures and pedicures at her salon, but she feels like she's been missing out on some serious cash. Mary has never offered additional nail services, and it's been some time since she learned the basics in cosmetology school. So she hops in her car and takes a road trip to a trade show to see what's new with nails. The trade show was inspiring. Mary decides it's time to make some real money, so she learns all about altering or enhancing the beauty of her clients' nails and hands. She learns all there is to know about dip systems and fabric wraps, liquids and powders, and gels so the salon can offer some of the more in-demand services for overlaying and extending the natural nail. Mary even learns about what to do if a client has any cracks or breaks in their nail. Mary has learned all about nail tips and wraps. She's received her training, and now she's ready to get the big bucks rolling in. Mary adds these popular services to her repertoire, and now business is booming.
All right. That was one big thing I got from that, Mary was already licensed, already working, but things had stalled off for a while. And so a lot of times we just have to go back to the drawing board. I like that Mary was try to put this out of, there we go. To escape. I like that Mary was teachable, and she jumped in the car. Well, she found a trade show, jumped in the car, and was gone. Okay. At the trade show, she learned more skills, enhanced her skills, and she came back ready and equipped to make more money. And that's simply what we have to do. If I was to share with you a motivation, I would definitely share continue to be teachable. Okay. Continue to be teachable. There are so many opportunities you being teachable. School is a forerunner. It starts you out, but that is nowhere you should stop. Okay. It is just a foundation. It's state requirements. And so we should do what we can to make sure you have a little bit more. But I would tell you, continue to be teachable. When the industry seems like it's not really doing what it was doing a couple of years ago, you noticing some things are shifting. You should be at those trade shows. Every advancement that I've learned in beauty, I've learned it from a trade show. I learned it from seeking the education first. Some stuff came to me, but it came to me once I showed interest, once I, knew what direction to go. Most time we don't know what direction to go until we go to a place and say, okay, I seen this, and this, and I want to really check this out. This is my plan. And then you start to move from there. Okay. But if we was to look at trade shows, there are a few trade shows going on in May. Usually I will go to Dallas. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to Dallas this month, but Dallas is like 17th through the 19th. May 17th and 19th. It's an skin trade show. So you're looking for anything related to skin. And then there's the end of May, I am going to premiere Orlando. Okay. That show is 4 football fields long. The floor where they sell products and they do education in the same area, 4 football fields long. And so the classrooms go up like 2 or 3 levels. Yep. The classrooms go up like 2 or 3 levels. And it is wide. That show is so extensive. They have areas for hair, skin, and nails. So it's in Florida at the end of the month, and it's every year around that month, but they have like 2 or 3 shows a year. After you would leave that show, Orlando, there's another big show in Vegas, hair, skin, and nails. That's at the end of June. What else would you have? Then you have Austin, Texas. No, you have San Antonio, Texas, which is a favorite of mine. Great food, great scenery, just great vibes. I think that's in August or September. Go back to Florida again. It's another skin show. We've already passed New York and past Chicago. So those were 2 big shows out in that area too. They're not having the Bronner Brothers show, which is usually in Atlanta. But they just had the Wear Natural show in Atlanta, and it was pretty big. So always look for places for advanced training. Cosmo Prof has free seminars this month. So you have a Cosmo Prof near you, kind of call or go in and see what the seminar list is that you can sign up. I think it's free. They have plenty of free seminars this month. The companies that they carry. It's like month of education. May is month of education or something. But always, if you're looking for something to get into, learn more about, just seek education around. Most of the times when I do go to a trade show, remember I'm teachable. I don't want to go into the places that I do stuff that I do every day. I want to use this opportunity if I'm going to Texas or if I'm going to Florida. I want to use this opportunity to get in a class that with the cost of my ticket, which is probably 50 to $100, I have 100 something classes to choose from, and they're all free. It comes with that ticket. Okay. There are some paid workshops. You only need to do the workshops if you're coming particularly for that thing. But if you have 120 classes that come with a free with your wristband and they're free, yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Most of the time when I do go to premiere, I go to the Color Theater, and it's a theater, and they just teach and showcase hair color all day. So if the show is 3 days, you can isolate yourself in the theater for 3 days and you're just sitting in the theater like it's a movie. It's like a movie theater. You're just sitting in there while the companies put these displays and talk about their products. And they bring their models out. They do hair. They do like a real stage show. And it's all about color. So depends on what you want. In Orlando, if I do go, I would need to get an evening gown because one of the biggest award shows for beauty professionals is there called the NAHA, NAHA. And the NAHA is kind of like our Oscars, okay? Our Oscars. And so it's like the top of the top, and people are dressed, really fancy, and everybody comes in and they're after 5 and just kind of mix and mingle, and everybody looks amazing, takes pictures, red carpets. Some of the bigger companies sponsor them, and so it's pretty cool. I absolutely love it, and so that's what I'm thinking about. And this year, if I go, I'm thinking I may wear like some definitely sequins, probably not a dress, maybe a nice pantsuit or something of that nature. So really excited about that. Okay. So let's go into the ebook. Have you been to if you're on the other end, if you're in the chat, um have you been to any beauty trade shows for continuing education yet? I know we're not in our licensure yet, but have you been trade shows? Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna fall in love. And they say you should go to something every quarter. You should have some kind of training every quarter, even if it's not necessarily a trade show. You should be able to jump on a Zoom, have some kind of training that kind of keeps you going. But sometimes you do need that getaway. Okay. And they also have competitions where you can win money and prizes and stuff like that. I saw on my timeline a young lady, I don't know where she's from. She won $20,000 last weekend. It was a show in Syracuse, New Jersey. Syracuse, New Jersey. She did a show. Um, and it was like she well, it looks like she spent 20,000. So maybe she just got a money bag and a trophy. But she won 20,000 and she had a couple of models and she basically told a story with hair, and the work looked amazing. Just the time, it was worth the 20,000, probably worth more. But I was excited to see um good work be rewarded. So really good. All right, let's look at some nail enhancements. I'm going to highlight these particular areas. I'm going to read, then highlight. Hold on one moment. All right. As we look at why do we study nail enhancements and resin systems, let's look at some of our terms and definitions. Nail enhancements are products added to natural nail to increase length and beauty. Okay. To me, I think I've said this before, I've been wearing, I initially started out square, didn't know better, hated it. Just made my hands, I already have big hands, made my fingers look longer than they were. And then, but that's kind of contrary because I like what I have now. I've been rounded, um, came out of that really, really quick. I've been what they call squoval, came out of that really quick. So I'm mostly like in between a pointed and an almond. And I thought I was gonna do coffee for a minute, and but I'm a pointed and an almond, and I do like length on them. Right now it's a little too long, so I do need them shaped down, cut down. But I'm between a pointed and an almond, and I do like that slender point or half point on my nails. And I think it gives aesthetically, it just makes the hands look better. My hands look better than the square. So I don't know if it's the grown up in me or what, but that's what I like. And that's kind of what I stick to. Okay. So it does give strength and beauty. So let's highlight this for a yellow. And remember, the nail shapes are based on a lot of times what the clients like, but also you can give recommendations as well on what you think will be best for them. For me, no one ever told me that I could get something other than square. I was just sitting down letting them do it, and I also didn't know. And I don't know if they were busy moving throughout the crowd, getting their clients together, and just was used to giving people the basics. That's kind of like how I felt until I shared my voice, and you know, once I shared my voice, saw what I liked, I went where I could get what I liked. You know, it says the two ways to create a nail extension are using a tip or a form. Please note a tip or a form. I love both. Okay. But let me tell you, when you're doing nails, you need to make sure you have good eyes. Good eyes. If you're not balancing your eyes, you need to make sure you have on glasses. Okay. That give you symmetry, because messing with me, you'll be good on your left. And then and on your right, it's like it's sliding down a little bit. So I have to make sure I have my glasses on because I am stronger in my left eye than I am in my right eye. So I have to make sure I have my glasses on. Okay. It says a tip application is not strong enough on its own. You'll need to overlay it using a single enhancement, such as a wrap, dip, liquid, or powder system, hard gel, soft gel, or polymer gel. Okay. All of these are used today, very, very popular. I've pretty much used all of them. I'm not fond of the dip system. I just don't like my finger being dipped in something everybody else is being dipped in. It just didn't give me that opaque, that look I was looking for. So I don't really care for a dip nail. Although I do like that my nails are growing underneath, I still like an artificial nail on top of them, something that gives them a little bit more strength. I've had nail wrap systems, which is great for repair, best thing going on my natural nails. A nail wrap system to me gets as firm as acrylic. Okay. Of course, most of us we're familiar with liquid and powder. Now, a hard gel system is like glass. Okay. It's like glass. And sometimes it can be too hard when it's trying to remove them. So, but acetone removes it, but it could get as sharp as glass. So, a hard gel system, love it. Instead of using a hard gel system to overlay the acrylic, a lot of people just do or overlay the nails. We do the tip or the form and use the hard gel system, which is just layering a gel, okay, and it gets hard under the LED. A lot of people would do the lip the liquid and powder acrylic, and then they would do the gel polish. Okay, so that's really what a lot of people are using when they say the term shellac. That's really a brand name. And it's just like one of those forerunners. It came out the gate. And a shellac is just simply a brand name. It just means gel polish. You know, it's a company that has gel polish and things of that nature. So most of the time, we should be, you know, asking about these companies and asking, do they have gel systems, you know, or do they have gel polish? But shellac has just been a term. Once it got a run for it, people just started saying shellac, 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 but it's actually like a gel system. And then some people just use the gel top coat polish. All right. So for me, I do like the acrylic with the polish, it works. But if I had a choice, I would do the tips with the hard gel. Okay. And you wouldn't even need the polish. Honestly, by the time you finish filing and buffing and putting a little cuticle oil there, it would give you the shine of a polish. Okay. You would not need to do anything. A soft gel, a soak off gel, something very easy. Longevity may not be as long, and then polymer gels is what we're seeing now, where they would just take the gel and the nail form, and the nail is adheres to the nail bed, the nail plate. So polymer gel is very popular as well. Okay, and then we have liquid and light cured. Most of these systems um, are cured through LED light. Okay, and so in your next chapter, we'll learn about LED and things of that nature. Let's look at resin. Nail resin. Whenever you see the word resin, think of nail glue. Okay, so there's lash resin, hair resin, nail resin. Okay, hair glue, nail glue, lash glue. Okay, resin systems. All right, which means there's a procedure, there's a way that you do something. And most of the time, when you use a system, you're using a whole system. Okay, using a whole system. All right. Here's where we talk about the most common resin systems are fabric wraps, salon staple for decades, and dip systems. Okay, which are currently in high demand. You are absolutely right. Fabric wraps, you would clean the nails or possibly do a manicure before. Clean the nails. Anytime anyone talk about nail repair, holding on to the nail, I'm going straight to fabric wrap nail systems. Okay, the resin system, and so I would take either silk or paper, and I would take the the adhesive, the nail glue, and once I've buffed and dried that area, I'm going to put a thin layer of the nail adhesive. And then I'm going to put my silk or my paper on top, let it blend in, go back over it with my adhesive, let it dry. Okay. And then I will continue to do multiple layers and filing and multiple layers and filing. So pretty much I'm mending that nail back together so I don't lose the nail, but also I'm strengthening it the same strength and firmness as an acrylic nail without using the acrylic system. So many individuals feel like it is healthier because you're using a resin, okay, an adhesive. And of course, acetone breaks it down. So it's an easy soak off. Okay. Here's why cosmetologists should have thorough understanding of nail extensions and resin systems. You know, we always see these in our check-in questions. So please make sure you note properly prepared natural nails will ensure that extensions last longer. So you having a manicure, having them clean, dry, removal of all oil, dirt, and debris, your nail systems will last longer. Okay, you must be able to size tips to fit your client's nails. You want something to be firm unless you're doing the forms, the sculpting forms. Okay, fabric wraps can be used to repair cracked or break ends in the natural nail. Color dip systems are very popular because you have the acrylic and you have the polish all in one. All right. Resin systems, as we discussed, are ideal for clients wanting to extend the nails for a special occasion. They are easily removed. Okay. So we're not looking at having to mess the longevity of our acrylic systems. Let's look at preparing a natural nail for nail enhancements. This is going to be lesson objective 2. Okay, it says the natural nail consists of keratin level layers. That's protein. Okay, it acts as a sponge. It's spongy. Needs to be clean, free of moisture and oil. So, in order for the resin systems to work, or any kind of adhesive, aka the glue, to stay on, we got to make sure that this area is free of oil and moisture. Okay, because it's just like oil and water; they don't mix. All right. So you got adhesive and oil, they do not mix. So you got to make sure the nails are dry and free of any oils, debris, moisturizers, lotions, things of that nature. A lot of time before the service, you can do a dry manicure, and that is a manicure without water. Simple as that. And sometimes your clients will need that. So you can consider that as an upgrade, and very beneficial to your menu and your bottom line. Okay, let's look at a couple of products. You have your nail cleanser. We're looking at the dry manicure procedure, nail cleanser, alcohol. For Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology, it requires you have at least a 70% alcohol in your salon or spa. All right, at least a 70% alcohol. So if you have 50% alcohol, it's not strong enough. It doesn't kill anything, don't do anything. Okay. You need at least a 70% alcohol. Okay. And so nail dehydrator, primers, things of this nature. These items I'm highlighting in green as well. It allows for your resin to stick. Great quality, hangs in there, and just make sure we check those items out. And we have those part of our kit. And we do not, as a manicurist, nail technician, as a cosmetologist, we don't want to go nowhere without alcohol pads or acetone pads. Even the nail cleanser has some moisturizers in there. All right. Considering the pH, so I will go with acetone or alcohol pads, 70% alcohol pads that you will see in your first aid kit or something of that nature to really remove what you need. You'll also see the nail dehydrator. Okay. A lot of people like to think that that is the primer. All right. So it's going to help stop the moisture from accumulating. And so you want to be able to work with these things as you go. Once you have nail plates, because your fingertips have moisture and it will apply moisture back. So you just want to work with the sides of the nail. Okay. If you do not properly remove the moisturizers, the oil debris that's left on there, you will have your nail tips to lift. And so you have clients wanting a refund. All right. All right. Lesson 3, we got a lot of terms. Okay. So we already know next week is going to be a big week of studying your terms for chapter 22 and chapter 23. Okay. Chapter 2 and chapter 23, you're going to be studying your terms. Let's look at nail tip types. Okay. And anytime you see your bold terms, you want to highlight them. And just for purposes of the terms, I'm going to put them in different colors. I'm also going to bookmark in an ebook. And these will be areas for study. All right, areas for study. And anywhere there's a term, I need you to know that's a place for you to really buckle down. Almost done. Just want to separate these terms. this page 47 goes into types of tips as well. So it's definitely going to be an area for you to study. Okay. Since nail tips are available in sizes, many colors, you can find them in kits of 100 to 500. They can include sizes up to 12. Okay, so big hands, big fingers, don't worry about it. Some ones will keep on hand just your average, but if you go to them all the time, they know exactly what you're going to use. Let's look at some of the nail tip types, and this is something you would need to know as well. A full covers the entire apex, entire area of the nail. Okay, a full wale covers more than nail plate. A partial wale, okay, is usually altered at the wale line to expose more of the natural nail. Okay, so kind of give you a 50-50. A wale-less tip has no wale at all and therefore no position stop. All right, so it just doesn't have a barrier. More than likely, you just have a thin curvature tip and they put it right on the end of your fingernail. Okay, full coverage tips are more so like our press on, they cover up the whole entire nail, and then you have French tip. Okay, most of the time you find them white, blending in color, partial. Some are with, this is what we're calling wales here. All right. So you have some with wales and some not. The ones with wales off actually give you an eye measuring, it trains your eye to measure where to put this tip. Okay. And adhesives added, the wale pretty much disappears. You know it's there, but it disappears. And then you have clients that prefer just the no wale, kind of like this tip here. Let's look at nail adhesives, which is always one of those major components. Nail adhesive, okay? Nail adhesive, I want you to learn the term. It falls in line with resin. Basically, AKA, you're talking about a nail glue. All right, these are just the proper terms for it. Nail resin, nail glue. All right. Nail adhesives usually come in a tube with a pointed applicator tip and a one-drop applicator or brush off. Tips for using nail adhesive include the following, okay? You don't use too much adhesive. Notice they sometimes only use one drop, okay? Their adhesives dry really fast, okay? Carefully use adhesive containers. Make sure you put the top back on them. The more air that is exposed, it starts to harden up. And always wear eye protection because it can get in the eyes and cause serious injury. All right, so we're going to put these in blue for you. Also, this is an area you will highlight as well. When we look at some of the tools used, we do have nail cutters. They are different from nippers, what we learned about yesterday. So just make sure I'm going to highlight this because it's a term that you reach out and read about nail cutters, okay? This is how it goes. And you can see the wale here, how it just disappears, all right? Then you insert the nail tip into the cutter and it cuts for you. Many individuals still use a cutter or they may use nippers to do the cutting, okay? Let's talk about sculptured nails, which use nail forms. And we're going to go yellow on here. And then also the advantages of using nail forms, we're going to go pink. So making sure that we're looking at nail forms are an alternative to nail tips. Let me just highlight that. an alternative to nail tips. All right. Nail forms mean you are making the nail. You're acting as a sculptor. You are making the nail. All right. So sometimes the mistakes is you can get too wide, you can get too long, it's too short, too hard, or the product is running. I think nail forms help train you on the product application. You have to train your eye, and most nail forms will have guidelines, curvature lines for you to pause and know where to stop at. Okay. So yeah, I love nail forms. I love sculpture nails, but let me tell you, they really can damage the nails. Talking about hitting your nail. So, usually you just worry about the tip or the free edge of the nail. But this sculpture nail is attached to your nail plate. And so everything, when you hit it, everything that nail plate is attached to becomes damaged, whether it's pushed back, pushed in. So it could cause a little bit more damage to the nail. So you want to make sure when you are wearing a sculpture nail, you're very careful about the length of them and how your client handles different their day-to-day work. Here's your nail forms, like I discussed before, disposable, so which means they are single use. You don't save them. If you take them off the roll, you throw it away. Is no putting it back on the roll because it has a sticky back, and so it can pick up germ, dirt, bacteria. Okay, film, all of that stuff, it can pick it up. Notice the lines, the curvature, so it helps guide you in the length of the nail, how wide the nail is going to be, things of that nature. So make sure you take a look at that. And it says to use these forms, peel the nail from the paper backing. Remember, if you peel it off, it's single use, you gotta use it. Okay. And then you're going to reference the nail form application as well. Reusable forms will have this little metal component on it. And also, it just has this is made up like an aluminum. So, a reusable form, you can wash it in soap and water. All right. It will be what we call multi use. It'll go through your disinfection solution, rinse, get cleaned, and you will store it in you put it in your autoclave, and from there you'll take it and store them until it's time to be used again. So you do have a disposable nail form and a multi-use nail form. Common nail shapes. Let's take a look at these. This is our lesson 5. I think we only had about 8 of them, but I love, this is what I was saying, the almond. I haven't been of stiletto. Okay, I just call them pointed nails, but I'm gonna try at least one stiletto one day. And the ballerina is what we would call the coffin nails. A lot of times, based on the region where you are, where your book was published, and other books, they will have different names. But I want to tell you, when you get ready to go take your exam, if the question is not in the pivot point and the lady book, it is not on the exam. So you don't have to worry about whether you're going to see questions from different areas. The almond, stiletto, ballerina. Okay. Nail shapes for nail extensions. So if you're going to get nail extensions, these are some of the best nail shapes to get. And so I bookmarked this area, and they're giving you a demo of nail forming. Properly structured nail enhancements. We're going to go here and highlight here on pink and come back. It talks about the areas of the nail and making the enhancement. Now let's look at the parts. You have the apex, and the apex is like the highest part. You have heard of the apex in hair cutting and hairstyling, the highest part of the head. You also have it as the highest part of the nail itself. Since we do see some terms, let's highlight this so we can refer back to them. Okay. Side walls, you got to make sure the side walls are not wide. All right. We always have to make sure the side walls are not wide. I love a good curvature. I don't like a flat nail. So the apex is always important. It gives that Highest point of the nail gives curvature. It flows in with the sidewalls and the underside of the extension. Now, this is a pet peeve for me. I don't like acrylic on this underside. So when they tell me they're doing a cleanup of my nails, please make sure you get all of that extra stuff that's underneath the nail off, okay? The thickness, the edge thickness and C curve. I think that is trained with eye. And the more you do it, the better you become because you can initially say, oh, it's not strong enough, not strong enough, but it can be too heavy. And then when the client damages their hands or their fingers, it could really pull that nail plate off. You don't want to have damage from that. The C curve is like gold. Okay. So that's something you would continue to practice on as well. So I absolutely love it. Next time you get your nails done, just be more observant of what we have going on with just the parts of the nail. I'm bookmarking the nail resin systems. As I told you before, now we're talking about adhesives, powders, polymers, cotton materials, nail wraps. Okay. Nail resins. Many individuals who may be allergic or sensitivity to smell and things are monoacrylic fibers. That is that adhesive smell, and sometimes it could hurt your eyes. You start squinting and things of that nature. So it's good for nail techs to have like a humidifier in the room as well to help push around clean air to get some of the stale air out because some clients may be irritated. It says some resins may be so vicious that they require a resin accelerator. Okay, an accelerator is kind of like a spray. So once you do the nails, then you'll come back and spray them. For some gel systems, the spray helps harden it faster. Some people just use a fan, okay, and the fan dries it and makes it last faster. Some people also use a light, okay, so you can use a product, a light, or a fan. Um, if you don't learn anything else, learn about the nail wraps because this is something you can definitely upgrade without having to get a whole system, okay, without having to buy a whole system. For me, fiberglass wraps are, of course, it feels like glass when you're done. Okay. Silk wraps are the best, but I can repair a nail with a piece of paper and some nail adhesive and a life file, and I can fix a nail. I can make it as strong as an acrylic nail with those three items. Okay. Then you have mostly, if you keep those three items, you can fix anybody's nail repair, add it to your list. Fiberglass wrap, clients will absolutely love you. Will take a little bit more time, but when I tell you it's one of the best things I've learned how to do because most people do get their nails done or some kind of nail enhancement. And you have men that don't have time to go into nail salons and fix little things. And so you're able to fix little things with them as well. Highlighting this area because we do see some terms. We want to focus on our terms. As I said, next week we're going to focus a lot on our terms. Fill in, maintenance, and rebalance. It all means the same thing. Okay. I think it's been a couple of weeks now. I'm doing fill in. That's when your nail just grows out. You can see some of your natural nail and you can see the acrylic nail. And so we need to rebalance that. And so in rebalancing that, we'll clean this up, apply more acrylic to balance that to make it a more even nail. And traditionally we call it a fill-in or a back fill. Okay, let me put that in a different color so we know it's a fill-in or a back fill. Okay, with wraps, we mainly do this about 2 weeks, and we also do fill-ins and back fills in within 2 to 4 weeks as well. Your dip system, it is common, okay, and it's still popular. Is dip system. That's highlighting our terms that we have here from the dip powder and dip systems, the liquid powder. Very fast. Sometimes people really realize that they are getting not only the build of the nail, but they're also getting the polish if you have the color dip systems. Okay, so super, super exciting for me. As I told you, unless you take some powder out and put it in another container, that's the only way I want to use it. But most times you would not be able, if you pour it out, you would not be able to pour the rest of it that's left over back into the main container. So you have a lot of individuals that do not separate it because they're losing product. Okay. And then, but for Tennessee, I hate to tell you that if I put my finger in that container, you're not supposed to use it on anybody else anyway. It's called cross contamination. So when we find a better way, from the places that I go to do dip systems or what I've seen, then I would try dip system again. But sometimes we can be a little too paranoid about diseases and fungus and things like that. But we have to these days. Everyone doesn't have the same infection control standards. We have protocol when using our dip systems and French. I'm gonna move to I'm gonna revert over to a video and we're gonna watch 1 or 2 videos, slow down with some of the stuff that we reviewed. A lot of stuff is term sensitive. And so this has been just a great intro. Excuse me. It's been a great intro. I don't want to do too much, just wordy. So let's balance it out a little bit. Hold on one moment. I probably got to log back in. Yeah, let's highlight that, balance that off, and log back in. And as we do with all intros, just want to show you where we at and where we're going next week. Excited because we're coming close to the end. And we're on chapter 22. Hold on one moment. Video loading. Okay, let's look at a few videos. Fresh chip application.
This video will demonstrate the French nail tip application service so you can achieve the look your clients desire. But before we begin the French nail tip application, a quick reminder to perform your pre-service steps and the dry manicure. You can now begin by checking that you have the implements and materials you need. French nail tips in the chosen color, nail tip adhesive or resin, medium to fine grit abrasive boards, a tip cutter, a medium to fine grit buffer, lint-free wipes, and a nylon manicure brush. French tips do not need to be blended. French tips are pre-cut to include a smile line. Some French tips have a partial well, but others are well-less. Remember that the stress area of the nail is where the natural nail's free edge meets the extension. This area needs extra nail enhancement product to provide optimum strength. This area also becomes the apex, or arch, and is the highest point on the nail. It should be located in the same place on each nail when looking at the profile of the nails. So starting with the pinky on the client's left hand, choose the proper size tip for the nail. You may buff the smile line of the tip to create a cleaner, nicer smile line. Put the pre-tailored, pre-sized tips on a towel in the order of finger position for both hands. Remember, both you and your client should wear eye protection. Starting again with the pinky finger on the client's left hand, apply the adhesive to the well of the tip. You can also use a thin brush-on resin. If there is no well, apply resin just under the French edge. Hold the tip at a 45-degree angle and connect the position stop in the well to the natural nail. If there is no well, apply in a similar manner, ensuring that the French line covers the natural free edge of the nail. Hold the tip in place for 5 to 10 seconds until the adhesive dries. Repeat the steps for all remaining nails. If a tip is applied crookedly, follow the steps for the tip removal service. Repeat on the right hand. If needed, wipe away any excessive adhesive at the smile line with a lint-free wipe. Using a professional tip cutter, trim the nails to the desired length.
You ever heard this music already? I like it.
Repeat on the right hand. Measure all the nails, hand to hand, to make sure they match in length. File the nails with a medium to fine grit abrasive into the desired shape. Repeat on the right hand.
Medium to fine grit abrasive, which is nail file, reduces the lines you see in your.
Gently buff the French tip with a medium grit buffer to remove the shine. careful not to ruin the smile line. Repeat on the right hand. Remove dust with a clean, dry manicure brush. Present the finished tips to your client before continuing to the enhancement to ensure they are happy with the length. Follow with your preferred nail enhancement.
All right, and so once those tips are applied, you move forward with your enhancement. In this final section, you will see rubrics, which are procedures. You have videos. Let's see. Let's go to nail form application.
This video will demonstrate how to apply disposable nail forms so you can create beautiful nail extensions for your client. An advantage of using nail forms is a more natural and custom look, as each nail is created by following the natural nail. Watch and you'll soon see for yourself. Before we begin the disposable nail form application, here is a quick reminder to perform the pre-service and dry manicure for your client. Ready? Now remember to take a moment to check the implements and materials you will need in addition to the basic materials on your manicuring table. Disposable nail forms that come on a roll. Nail forms can be a little tricky to use because they stick to the client's fingers. They are usually made of paper and sometimes in a thin polyester film called mylar. Now to begin the service, remove a form from its paper backing. Using your thumb and index finger on both hands, hold the form at its side edges and roll it back and forth to create an arch. Starting with the pinky on your client's left hand, snug the form under the free edge. Be careful not to crowd the hyponychium. When the form is perfectly positioned, press in the sides to attach the sticker to the finger. Release your fingers from the form. Check to make sure the form is snug and level with the natural nail. Also see if the center line of the form is lined up with the center of the nail plate. The form is perfectly positioned when there is no gap between the free edge and the nail form. Take a look from the side view to make sure the form is flat, and then pinch the tab at the bottom edge and all remaining tabs to secure the form in place. If the form shape does not fit the free edge shape perfectly, you may need to use scissors to customize the form. Depending on the desired shape of the extension, the form may stay open to a large circle at the edge, leaving the sides of the form straight with the sidewalls of the nail. Or the form may be closed and pressed tight to its edges, tapering the sides to create a more narrow extension. Begin to sculpt with the chosen nail enhancement product. By the way, this technique allows you to save time by not having to size, adhere, shape, and blend the tips. Present the sculpted nail to your client before continuing. Once your client approves the length, you can continue sculpting the remaining nails. When your service is complete, always perform the post-service steps. Don't forget to thank your client for coming to you for the service.
One of my absolute favorite things to do when I do nails, it's like a form of relaxation therapy for me, literally, because I get to sit there and just work with the creativity. As long as you have your lines, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going, everything is going to be okay. Now, I do want to look at dip nail, and then we will close out for today and pick back up. All right, let's see what we got. That resin system is going to be a good video as well. Let's look at dip nails.
This video will show how to complete a dip system one-color application service for your client. Remember to perform your pre-service steps and a dry manicure before beginning your one-color dip service. If your client wants tips, refer to the nail tip application service for instructions. You will perform 2 or 3 applications of the color powder system to create the final result. Remember to double check that you have all of the supplies you need for your service before starting. For this service, you will need the following: nail dehydrator, resin base coat, resin top coat, resin accelerator, a resin applicator brush, a medium grit abrasive, a coarse grit buffer, dip powder in the preferred color poured into a dappen dish, a nylon nail brush, and a soft dusting brush. Pour the preferred color of powder into a dappen dish. Add more as needed throughout the service.
That's what I prefer.
Now polish the resin base coat onto the entire surface of the nail, as close as you can get to the skin without touching it. Quickly dip the nail into the dappen dish of colored powder. Hold for 1 or 2 seconds and pull it out. Gently tap the finger to remove excess powder. Make sure the client's hands are always relaxed. Do not dip the client's finger into the powder if the finger is stiff, because this can cause bubbles, ripples, etc. Now repeat the previous steps on all of the remaining nails.
And the dip system is rather easy, just making sure infection control procedures are followed, as is with any system.
Dust away any remaining powder with your soft dusting brush. Apply a second coat of base resin on the nail, making sure to cap the free edge. Wipe the resin applicator brush on a lint-free towel and put it back in the bottle to prevent the brush from getting messy. Quickly dip the nail into the dappen dish of colored powder. Hold it there for 1 to 2 seconds and pull it out. Repeat the steps on all of the remaining nails. Dust away any excess powder with a soft dusting brush. Dust away any excess powder with a soft dusting brush. Quickly apply resin activator on all 10 nails. Wipe the resin activator on a lint-free towel and put it back in the bottle. Now apply the base resin over the nail. The base should dry very quickly. Make sure to pull out your dust collector when you begin the filing process. Remember to wear your NIOSH-approved respirator mask. Use a medium grit abrasive to shape the nails if needed. Smooth the surface of the nail with a medium grit buffer and remove the dust with a dry nylon nail brush. Now apply the activator to all 10 nails.
The activator hardens, seals in.
Wipe the surface clean with a lint-free wipe to ensure there is no excess activator. Keeping the product off the skin, apply the top resin over the entire set of nails. Wipe the resin applicator brush on a lint-free towel and put it back in the bottle. Repeat this step for a second coat. Let the nails dry for the time recommended by the manufacturer. You can now apply cuticle oil and then hand lotion. Massage them into each hand. Present the finished look to your client. Remember to thank your client and perform the post-service steps at the end of your service.
All right. So continue working on your project assignment that's due on the 13th. We'll pick back up